then, no matter whether the Patriots were playing or not, the 1 and the 4 p.m. games were always on. And as the afternoon progressed, as we were bouncing around the living room, my mom would start to organize. And many of you have seen this firsthand. She's an organizational force of nature. Her favorite store is the Container Store, I think. And she'd pull out a big piece of paper and start to carefully plot out the week ahead for each of the 4 of us. Every appointment, every ride, every practice, every game, every performance, each with little notes for all of us. And then she'd be on the phone with her sisters, her parents, her friends, laughing and catching up. That was every Sunday. That's who she is. She does everything with enormous joy and care. And that includes things people can see, her career, her leadership, and things people don't, like the notes she'd leave in my lunchbox and the long voicemails I still get today if I miss her calls, which happens. The remarkable way she moves through the world was especially on display after the last election. She poured that same Sunday afternoon spirit into Central Falls schools, into working with Crossroads, and into thousands of other small acts, seen and unseen. She has kept giving herself to the state, just as she's always done so with the people around her. That's my mom. She's not just a listener and a doer, although she's a great one at that. It's how she does it and how she makes people feel as she does it, with massive doses of love and life that makes her so special. That's the example I've been so lucky enough to grow up with, and one I can only hope to live up to. So with that, please join me. I'm proud to introduce her to you all. Here she is, and give a big warm welcome to Helena Foulkes.
As he hugged me, he said, "That's a tough act to follow." So true, so true. So listen, 2026 is going to be a very, very big year. I am ready. I'm very ready to take on a new role. And I'm excited to share today, wait for it, that I am going to be a grandmother. She's here somewhere, my daughter. There she is. Oh gosh, we're so excited. This grandchild is going to enter an amazing family. And I am really so blessed because so many of them are here today. My other kids, my son-in-law, my husband Bill, who you all know, my siblings who are here, my nieces and nephews, my uncles. I have Chris and Vin here. I have my Aunt Kitty here. And of course, my amazing father, Bernie. So thank you. Thank you all so much for being here for me and for just lifting me up on this ride. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. This is an amazing crowd. And I'm so thrilled to have you here today, but not just for today, because I really have felt lifted up as I see all your faces by all of you in the last 3 years or more. So I just couldn't be more honored to have you here. And yes, 2026 will be a big year for another reason. And with your help and support, I'm running to be the next governor for the state of Rhode Island. I'm sure most of you know, I did run for governor in 2022, my first ever political run for office. It was also my first debate since 7th grade. And we came so close. We won on election day, but we lost by 3,000 votes. And let me tell you something, losing stinks, I'm not gonna lie. It's been more painful knowing that our state needed new leadership. Now more than ever, we need strong Democratic governors on the front lines, standing up for our people and showing that when Democrats are in charge, we govern well. But throughout my life, I have honestly learned more from my setbacks and challenges. So like many Rhode Islanders, I picked myself up and I got right back to work. I knew it was important to keep showing up because the best part of the campaign was meeting people, listening to them, and getting their great ideas. I kept doing that. When I was running CVS, my favorite part of the job was always listening to customers and our employees. And I always felt that you can't lead if you don't listen. And over the past 3 years, I've been to hundreds of meetings with Rhode Islanders, from the Johnston School Construction Committee to RIPTA listening sessions, to gatherings in people's living rooms and coffee shops and other community spaces, from Cranston to Central Falls, North Kingstown to Newport, where I bring people together, I ask them questions, and I listen to their thoughts on our state and what it needs. In fact, I always ask, tell me one thing you would do if you were the governor. I get great ideas. And I'm going to keep doing that during the campaign and when I'm governor. I'm looking to hold one of these gatherings in all 39 cities and towns this fall, and I'm inviting all Rhode Islanders to join us because I want to hear directly from you. I'll be doing my first one as a candidate tonight. I will be the governor who listens before she acts. And these conversations have informed my thinking about the important issues this state is facing that we must address. It's not hard to convince people to love Rhode Island. What's becoming harder and harder is for it to feel like Rhode Island loves you as much as you love it. Harder to feel like it's the kind of place where you can afford to live and build a great future. We used to be that place where you could. For too many, it feels like we've lost that. Instead, Rhode Islanders are getting priced out and squeezed to the limit. Well, I hear so much frustration that our state leadership is not meeting the moment. I am inspired by my fellow Rhode Islanders' love of our state, their concern for one another, and their relentless hope that we can build a better future. Together with you, I hope to bring back faith in our government, to improve our public education and create good paying jobs, to move with urgency to tackle our housing crisis and address our doctor shortage, and to fight against the reckless, illegal, and irresponsible policies of the Trump administration. In my conversations with Rhode Islanders, they frequently say something like this: I don't know if it's corruption or incompetence, but I don't feel like this state is working for me. And of course, the poster child for this is the Washington Bridge fiasco. With all the incompetence and bureaucracy, it's going to take 5 years in the best case scenario to fix. 5 years. People, I gave birth to 4 children in 4.5 years. All this bridge. And let's compare how our governor handled the bridge to what happened around the same time in Maryland. You'll recall that the major bridge in Baltimore collapsed. Governor Wes Moore, a Democrat, had a signed contract to rebuild that bridge in 4 months. 4 months. In contrast, it took our governor 18 months. 18 months. It's an in-your-face example of what happens when government just doesn't listen and do the work of the people. This delay significantly has impacted people's lives as they figure out their daily workarounds to deal with the traffic and have less time to spend with their families. And I share that what many of you have asked me, if we can't even fix a critical bridge in the middle of our biggest city, what else do you think this government is failing to do? And where's the accountability from the state leadership? Has there been an audit? Has there been a firing? And the bridge is just a glaring example of this administration's inability to get things done and done right. We can no longer accept being 45th in infrastructure and 50th in transportation. We're ranked #1 for worst roads, okay? But we can reestablish trust and competence in our state government. Let's have an inspector general to audit how our state uses federal funds and ensure the money is being used efficiently. Let's ban lobbyists from donating to state leaders during the legislative session. 25 other states do this, and we should join them. And how about taking a good hard look at our budget? People are always shocked when I tell them that our budget rose by $500 million over the last couple of years. Does anyone feel like we're getting better services as a result of this extra money? Of course not. Almost $4 billion in federal funding poured into our state during the Biden years. What did we use it for? Did it go to position ourselves for long-term success? Are we seeing it in rebuilt roads and bridges, better public schools, ensuring people can actually see a primary care physician, much less a specialist, without driving to another state? Instead, last session, our leaders did what Rhode Island has done for years. Tape together a budget, add some new fees and raise taxes, throw in an accounting gimmick or two, and make some insiders and lobbyists happy. Fail to be accountable and fail to plan. Let me just give you one example. The state budget left a $10 million hole in RIPTA funding. These are the buses that keep people to work, to school, to doctor's appointments. That employers tell us matters so much for their own growth. Just a short-term fix to patch the budget. Now RIPTA is forced to cut services. But at the same time, we are spending $4.5 million a year to keep 2 tow trucks permanently on the Washington Bridge 24/7. For what? 2 trucks sitting there around the clock, or funding reliable public transportation for our people. Budgets are about values, and when I am governor, we are going to fund the most important things like public transportation and public education. No longer rely on short-term fixes. We can't kick the can down the road anymore. It's just going to make things worse. We're uniquely vulnerable, unlike other New England states, because we failed to plan. Massachusetts has a rainy day fund of $8 billion. Connecticut has a $4 billion rainy day fund, having a cushion that helps them withstand the threats from the Trump administration. Our rainy day fund barely exists. So now we're caught without an umbrella, and it's going to take leadership willing to make the tough choices to get us through this. Rhode Islanders are getting squeezed both from the incompetence of our state government and the failure to address a spiraling affordability crisis that includes the costs of housing, groceries, and utilities. And as your governor, growing our economy and creating good paying jobs will always be one of my top priorities. This means both attracting more companies to Rhode Island and fostering workforce development and job training programs in cooperation with organized labor to better serve high schoolers who choose career paths over college. When I talk to young families, this is exactly what they want for their children. The chance to get a good job right here in Rhode Island. And that does seem to be getting harder and harder. To the hundreds of families who were affected by yesterday's news that our iconic local company Hasbro is leaving for Massachusetts, I know this is a moment of extreme stress for you. You are who we should be focused on right now. And I'll be a governor who fights every day to protect workers' jobs and bring more jobs here. Under a Foulkes administration, not only are our businesses going to want to stay, but we're going to flip the tables for once and finally bring some new companies here for a change. That I can promise you. We're going to find and grow those next iconic Rhode Island companies. It's what working families deserve. And we must simply improve our public schools. It's a moral issue and it is a basic economic issue. We have talked and we have studied and we have studied and we have talked about our underperforming schools for decades without progress, and that is going to end. I know we can make it so that every child can read and do math at grade level by 3rd grade. Ensuring every school has certified reading and math coaches will make this happen. And by the way, let's return local control of our schools back to Central Falls and Providence. At all of the listening sessions I've had, when the conversation turns the economy, the spiraling cost of housing is the #1 issue which comes up for everyone. I constantly hear from people whose adult kids have moved back home because rent, much less buying a home, is completely out of reach. And the statistics tell a similar story. Rhode Island is dead last in building new housing and dead last in housing affordability. It's not enough to pass housing bonds or dozens of new laws and pat ourselves on the back. Where has this gotten us? We need 24,000 more units in this state, and let's aim to triple housing production in my first year in office. We do not have time to fall further behind. We must also dramatically improve healthcare in Rhode Island, in living room after living room. I hear the same anxiety. I can't find a doctor. I'm so worried my doctor's going to retire. I'm so worried my doctor's going to move to Massachusetts. Rhode Island should be innovating to provide the best healthcare in New England, not struggling to retain our providers. And if all of this weren't enough pressure on Rhode Island families, we have a reckless, irresponsible, and belligerent president in the White House. Donald Trump is trying to kick 47,000 Rhode Islanders off of their health care with heartless cuts to Medicaid and Obamacare, all to pay for massive tax breaks for billionaires. His tariffs and trade wars are fueling inflation. He's shutting down renewable energy projects that would drive down utility costs just because he thinks he can. Trump is hell-bent on attacking and threatening blue states like Rhode Island, terrorizing our immigrant communities, and carrying out massive cuts to food assistance that will blow an even bigger hole in our state budget and make many of our seniors and kids go hungry. So here's my message to Donald Trump. We will not tolerate your reckless agenda. We will not abide by your failed policies. And we will fight against your illegal and irresponsible overreach that is tearing our nation apart, bankrupting our government, and destroying our children's future. Rhode Island needs to defend itself, and I am ready to lead that fight. So for those of you who might not know much about me, I'm a born and raised 4th generation Rhode Islander, a wife of 36 years, a mom of 4, a cancer survivor, and many of you know from my time at CBS, I am so proud to have been part of an organization that took an entrepreneurial idea, born in Rhode Island, and created the 5th largest company in the United States, headquartered in Rhode Island. 7,000 dedicated, caring employees in Rhode Island. I rose through the ranks to hold almost every leadership position there was at CVS. And once I became head of retail, I led 200,000 employees. That compares to 14,000 employees in the state. And I led a budget of $80 billion compared to the state budget of $14 billion. I offer my experience as a window into how I lead. My management philosophy at CVS was that to make the company successful, you listen, you put the customer first, and you focus on the hardworking pharmacists and frontline employees. You didn't prioritize short-term bottom line, and that's why we removed cigarettes from all of our stores. My mom died of lung cancer, so this was very personal for me. It cost us $2 billion a year in revenue. And don't think for a second that this was an easy thing to do or that everyone was immediately on board, but it was the right thing to do. And when you do the right thing, great things happen. You attract a new generation of people who are drawn to your purpose. Your customers thank you. You become role models for others. Taking over CVS Pharmacy at the height of the opioid epidemic, I immediately got to work to deal with the crisis in real time, because like tobacco, prioritizing people's health was the right thing to do. We reduced opioid sales by almost 40% during my tenure, 40%. We were a national leader during this crisis. We were also relentless in making sure that people could afford their prescriptions. Under my leadership, we took on big insurance companies by giving pharmacists a tool to make sure they could figure out the lowest cost available to fill a prescription for each and every customer, even if it meant finding an alternative to their insurance. And guess what? Our pharmacists were able to make prescriptions more affordable, and that made customers want to come back. What you'll get from me is a governor who deeply cares about what's happening to Rhode Islanders and who always has the guts to tackle our challenges head on and always tell you the truth. I'll be a governor who cares about you and never goes along to get along. A governor you can trust to make the tough choices. A governor who leads with the competence it takes to get the job done and the commitment it takes to fight for you and your family. See, I care a lot more about what's happening to Rhode Island's families than I do my own personal politics. I mentioned earlier that I'm a cancer survivor. It's a terrifying feeling to hear that you have cancer, even if it's treatable, especially when I had 4 young kids at the time. Going through cancer treatment reminds you that you have no idea what anyone you meet on a daily basis is dealing with. It teaches you compassion and humility. I hold fast to that lesson, and it informs the kind of leader and governor I want to be. So when you see me, and in a state as small as Rhode Island, I want you to know me. I want to hear directly from you, your concerns. What you'll get from me is a governor who cares that the status quo isn't working for Rhode Islanders. You'll get a governor with the competence, the guts, and the sense of urgency to do better, and the compassion and empathy to make sure everyone is along for the ride. So it's time for Rhode Island to live up to its potential, to make it easier to raise your family and get ahead in this state we all love. To have a governor who is working as hard as you do. We can't afford the same people trying the same old things. And simply put, our current governor does not deserve a 3rd term. afford a starter home, where every kid can go to a good public school, where we have the kinds of jobs that allow families to not stress about bills at the end of the month, where they can save for retirement and go on a vacation every now and then. So thank you for being here. I know this race won't be easy. The insiders and the powers that be will never willingly let go of their power. So with your help, we're just gonna take it back. We're going to take that power and we're going to give it back to the folks who deserve it, the hard-working men and women of Rhode Island. So are you with me? I mentioned that at all the community gatherings I've done, at the end of every session, every single one I've done, and usually we're 50 minutes in, and they've been complaining about all these things that drive them crazy. And about 50 minutes in, someone always raises their hand and says, "But gosh, I love living here." It's a great state, and you know, we all do. We love this state. And that's why we're gonna win this race and make Rhode Island a place where everyone can have a great life. So thank you all so very much.